shoulders, knees, and toes. This is kind of like that, but the words make you know what you have to do. However, the words aren't just your body parts like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. The song goes like this. Will you keep a steady beat with me? Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows, Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. So if we listen carefully to the words, we'll hear that even though we're singing about someone named Tony Chestnut, we're actually singing toe, knee, chest, and then nut. We're calling your head is your nut, if you ever heard that term before. So as we sing our song and we sing, Tony Chestnut, and then nose, we're singing nose, but nose, I love you. Just like that. So let's try it really slow. Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows. And that's what's tricky, right? Often if we're singing the word nose, we would point to our head, but we have to remember to point to our nose. So let's try that again. Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows, Tony Chestnut, Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. Okay, well, I messed up in the middle there. Did you do okay? It got me. And we're not even going fast yet. Okay, let's try it again slow. See if I can get it correct. And if I can get it correct, then we'll try to go a little faster. Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows, Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. I made it, but barely. How'd you do? All right, you ready? We're gonna speed it up just a little bit. Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows, Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. Still doing okay? All right, a little faster yet. Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows, Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. Whew, it's also like a workout, right? I'm getting hot just doing this. Can you go faster? Yeah, let's try. Ready? Here we go. Tony Chestnut knows I love you. Tony knows, Tony knows, Tony Chestnut knows I love you. That's what Tony knows. I don't think I could go any faster. I think I really have a hard time remembering what to point to what. But I hope you had a fun time learning that warm up with me. Got my body warmed up, I got my voice warmed up, my brain for sure warmed up. So thanks for doing that with me. Enjoy today's lesson. Never play music right next to the zoo. By John Lithgow. Illustrated by Lisa Hernandez. I went to a concert when I was a lad, no older than many of you. I sat with my sister, my mother, my dad, at a band show right next to the zoo.
The soft summer air was so balmy and sweet, and the program was running so long, that I found myself falling asleep in my seat, despite all the music and song. All at once, the conductor erupted with rage. A band of wild animals was storming the stage. Oh, children, remember, whatever you may do, never play music right next to the zoo. They'll burst from their cages, each beast and each bird, desperate to play all the music they've heard. The lions and the elephants, the bears and the raccoons will steal away the trumpets. The flutes and bassoons. Replace the musicians and chase them away. Then they'll sit in the band shell and play. The monkeys played fiddle. The bison played bass. The percussions were manned by the camel. The yak played the sax until red in the face, a surprisingly musical mammal. The bonobo played oboe. The ferret, the flute. The jackal attacked the bassoon. The hippo had chosen the tuba to toot by the light of the silvery moon. Siberian tigers, Mongolian goats, a superabundance of bestial notes. As the animal orchestra filled up the air with chaos, confusion, and clatter, the audience calmly continued to stare, as if nothing at all was the matter. I trembled with terror, suppressing a scream, while my parents just sat there enraptured. Oh, how I wish it was only a dream, and those creatures all safely recaptured. But since by the minute I'd grown less afraid, I decided to sit back and watch while they played. They finished, and each put his instrument down, then bowed and descended the stage. Each shed his tuxedo, or evening gown, and hurried back home to his cage. Then each reminisced, so grateful and glad, so full of contentment and pride. My mother, meanwhile, strolled away with my dad, but my sister remained by my side. She tugged on my sweater and spoke in my ear. "You'd better wake up, or we're leaving you here." Oh, children, remember, whatever you may do, never play music right next to the zoo. They'll burst from their cages, each beast and each bird, desperate to play all the music they've heard. No, never play music right next to the zoo, and pay strict attention to rule number 2. Bear it in mind for the rest of your days. Don't fall asleep when an orchestra plays.
So we are looking at the woodwind family today, and these are known as keys. If you remember back, our brass instruments, they had valves. They went inside, they had holes in them, and they allowed the air to pass through other slides so that they could extend the length of the instrument. So with the woodwinds, they're going to have holes in the body. And if you look right here, we have some holes. And then the key goes down and shuts those holes. So that's how they extend the length of their tube, is by closing the keys. So this instrument here is called the flute, and it is the only one that doesn't have a reed, which we will look at here in just a little bit. So we have the mouthpiece here, or the mouth plate, the lip plate, and then we have the keys down the body. So with the flute, it is the only one that doesn't have the reed. And the reed's what vibrates on most of these to make the sound. So if it doesn't have a reed, how does it vibrate? Let's see. If I buzz into it. No, it doesn't really produce a sound. A little bit hard to do, too. So, what about if I blow into it? No. If I blow in and wiggle the keys? No. So what is different about this one is that your air is actually split by this lip plate here. So if we are blowing across it and it splits right here, the air splits and it tries to vibrate to come back together, but it can't because the instrument's in the way. And that's what actually is doing the vibrating here. So let's see if we can listen to a song and figure out what it is. Here we go. Any ideas what song that is? If you said apple tree, you are absolutely correct. Great listening. Alright, so this instrument here is called the oboe. It is a member of our woodwind family, and it has keys on it instead of valves. So if you think back to the brass one that we covered the past couple of times, they had valves on them that went up and down or side to side. These here are keys, and if you look very closely, you could see that there are holes underneath where those keys are. And then the key closes and it shuts the hole. And that's kind of how it changes the pitch. This right here is a double reed. We're going to talk more about the reeds here after a while. But there is a top reed and a bottom reed. And that's what vibrates to make it sound on the oboe. So let's see if we can figure out what song this is. What song was that? If you said it was I See the Moon, you are absolutely correct. Great listening. Alright, so this is the clarinet, and it has keys on it, just like the flute and the oboe do. But remember that keys are different from valves. Valves go up and down or side to side, and their holes are connecting to the tubes. Well, these keys are actually covering holes. And if you look here, you can kind of see where we have some holes. My fingers actually cover those. But underneath these keys, there are also holes, and the key is what seals those. So we have holes that our fingers cover and close, and we also have the keys that the pads cover the holes, or that the keys cover the holes. So on here we have the mouthpiece, the ligature, and the reed here. So the oboe had a double reed. This is what's known as a single reed. If I take it off, you can see that there is nothing in between here. It's just a reed. Just one single reed, one part. So this ligature, kind of like our body, has ligaments to hold our muscles to our bones and keep everything working properly. The reed has to be held onto the mouthpiece. So the ligature here is going to be holding on to the reed and the mouthpiece to keep them connected. So we're going to put that on there. We're going to tighten down our ligature and get it lined up just right so it makes its best sound. And then we're going to see if we can recognize the song. So, see if you can recognize this song. Did you figure out what it is? If you said peas porridge hot, you are correct. Great listening. Alright, boys and girls, so today we have another instrument. It's a member of our woodwind family. It is called the saxophone. So, you're thinking to yourself probably, well, that's made out of metal, it's not made out of wood. But remember that to be a member of our woodwind family, it had to have keys. So here are the keys on here, all the way through. And then we have a reed up here. So, a single reed just like on our clarinet. So, we're going to see if we can listen to a song and figure it out. I bet you can. Any ideas what that might be? If you said Ghost of Tom, you are correct. Great listening. Alright, so this instrument is the bassoon. It's a double reed just like our oboe from last time. And it's part of the woodwind family because, for one, it has a reed. And two, because it had the keys. Now, this instrument is very interesting and it's difficult to play. This one here, this thumb, my right hand controls these four keys right here. My left thumb controls all of the ones right here. I'll let you take a look at that. All of these keys right here is all controlled by this one little thumb. Then I've got fingers up here in the front. They're responsible for all of these. And then I've got these fingers here, and they're responsible for all of these keys. So there are lots of things going on here with our hands. So they aren't really doing much holding of the instrument. They're kind of to balance it so it doesn't fly too far one way or the other, but they're not actually holding it. So the question is how do we hold it then? Well, believe it or not, this instrument here is held by this strap, a seat strap. So it hooks onto the bottom, and then you put it underneath you to sit on. That's why it's called a seat strap. If you're thinking like me, I'm thinking since this one is so big, it might also be the lowest. Let's find out. You can figure out what song this is. said that it was ickle ockle. You are correct. Great listening.
When you go to Schoology and you open up your high sounds and low sound sorting activity, it'll look like this in Google. You're going to click on each image, and each image will show you a link like this. But when you click on the link, it's probably going to open it into a new window. You'll listen to, push this triangle here for play, and you'll listen to the sound example for that item. So we clicked on the teapot or the tea kettle, and we're going to listen. And we have to decide, does that sound high in the sky or low to the ground? So then we click back on the tab where our high sounds and our low sounds activity is, and then we find our teapot we just listened to. Did we think that sounded high in the sky or low to the ground? These arrows are here to help you remember high, low. I think our teapot sounded high, very squeaky and high. So I drag it over and I put it in that box. You are only going to have 6 high sounds and 6 low sounds. So you have to listen really carefully and choose the right box for each one. But every single picture has a sound linked to it. So you'll click on that, you'll listen to what it sounds like, and then choose, does it sound high in the sky or low to the ground, and put them in the proper boxes. Good luck. Have fun listening to each example. Some of them are kind of silly, so I think you'll have fun with it. But enjoy listening to the different sounds and choosing high in the sky or low to the ground. When you're done sorting, back in Schoology, there should be a button that says Submit Assignment. So once you're finished editing your Google document and you go back in there, you'll see that you've your edited version in Schoology, and you can just click Submit Assignment.
Now go to Schoology to find your high and low sorting assignment.